Welcome back to another Q&A video. I'm so glad you're here. I'm going to address some questions that I received in my last Q&A, and then I'm going to reveal the new website that my daughter and her friend have found. And it's a fabulous website, but I'm not just going to reveal it. I'm going to show you some things about it so that you can see how it works. It requires a certain aesthetic, and that's why I really want you to be aware of it. This one's from Vita Dunning. And she says, as always, I learned something new from watching your video. I do have one question for you. How important is rank to you when selecting an item to sell on Amazon? Will you consider items, books ranked over 1 million or 2 million? I am going to plead really ignorant on ranking. I have absolutely no idea what it means, what it doesn't mean. I know that people say that certain items ranking plays a crucial role for certain items but not in the others, and I'm just not even sure. I just know that when I scan something or when I look up a book, if it is selling for a price, and I think sometimes I'll see that there's maybe 10 available or 5 available, that's kind of what the only thing that comes up in my scan that I do in my research. So I'm really am not astute at all as far as ranking, and I know a lot of people that do FBA and merchant fulfilled look at that, and that does make a big difference for them. I'm still waiting on a lot more experts out there to do more FBA videos, and maybe there are some, I just haven't found them. But that's about all I know about that. And I do have some questions from an anonymous subscriber. Checking out your Etsy shop, and I noticed that you keep your description short and sweet. I kind of like that. Most Etsy shops I've looked at have really long descriptions of their items, which seems like overkill. What tips can you give on listing items successfully on Etsy? Okay, well, I do keep them short and sweet sometimes, and sometimes I don't. I guess it just depends on the mood, because I do try to convey a ambiance for the item. If it's something vintage, I will say something about it. I will, there's times when I've gotten really carried away with my descriptions, but I enjoy doing it, and especially when it's something Western or Texan or something like that, I'll put in something like, don't dress like a Yankee or something like that. But like a mug, say, what really can you say about that except maybe if it's a character? Sometimes I do keep them short and sweet that way, but sometimes I do like to convey a little bit more of a attitude about the item, and I want you to feel what I'm feeling about that item. So I do that. Now, I don't really get into descriptions about my policies or anything like that, because that's pretty much known, and I hate when I go to an eBay listing when it's got 2 pages of their policies and what kind of an outfit they are, whether they buy from estate sales and how they won't return it because it's all used or whatnot. And that really totally turns me off. I can't stand it, because I'll scroll through 2 pages, and then I'll finally see a tiny little 2-line description of the item, and I'll have to ask more questions than what they're offering in order to get a clear picture of what I'm looking at. So yeah, I do occasionally try to elaborate a lot more on the item, and sometimes I don't. Oh, another question is, what is dead stock? I noticed some of your Etsy listings mentioned in that description. In the description. Dead stock I usually use in reference to something vintage that was left at the store new, in a box, in condition, with tags, but no longer sold. For example, I know there was a few years ago, there was a lot of those Earth shoes from the 70s, and some of those things survived. People bought them out, and they still sell them. I also bought, not too long ago, some jewelry that was obviously from the 70s and had the little perforated tickets and things like that, and that would be considered dead stock. It was not sold any longer at the store, but it was never used. The store closed out, the items closed out, and they're still available intact that way. That is what I mean by dead stock. All right, number 3, I remember you saying that you don't use a postal scale, so how do you determine shipping prices of your items? I just kind of know that something heavy like a mug will cost me anywhere 8 to... Sorry about that. The camera stopped filming for some reason. And so let's get back to our question about the labels. No, the only labels I print are the ones for Amazon, and that's only because I'm afraid I'm going to transcribe the wrong number or something, and I just really know how picky Amazon is with their customer service, and I don't want to make that mistake. Occasionally I do print the ones from eBay if I'm buying the postage from them. That's really the only time. Or actually with Poshmark as well, you have to print those labels because they're prepaid. All right, so then let me see. Tell me about milk glass. I've never knew that's what those white glasses were called. I love them. Okay, well, milk glass is very collectible. Let me see if I have one here. Okay, here's a piece that we've recently started using to eat ice cream. These are really collectible. They're very popular in the 60s, mid-century. And they come mostly in vases and goblets and things of that nature, of bowls. They're just really pretty, really aesthetically pleasing. One of the ways you can tell whether it's milk glass or not is to hold it up to the light, and it will give off sort of a luminous, almost an opal-like brilliance to it. It really is pretty. They can be found really cheap at some thrift stores. I have found them really cheap, flea markets as well. $2, $1. Etsy has some shops that sell them at really, really high prices, but they're unique, and I think the more unique is kind of where the pricing will go. Let's talk about the app I was telling you about, the one my daughter found, and I'm going to link it if I can here. I'm also going to link their channel. Her and her friend have started to make videos, and they've only done one. I think they're going to make another one. They're going to do mostly vlogs, and in that first vlog they did talk about a little bit about this site that they found, and so I was kind of hesitant to promote their channel because I have had an instance a couple of years ago where I had a vicious little troll that threatened to actually boycott her Etsy shop or something like that, and I'm not gonna live in fear of people who are mean. I mean, if you want to be mean to me, that's, you know, that means you're nasty. But if you want to be mean to minors and children, that means you're sick. So I'm just not going to really live my life worrying about people like that. I think their channel deserves a chance to be seen. And I am going to put the link here if you want to check it out. It's really cute. But let me show you the app. It's called Depop. And she heard of this app because one of the person that she went to, I think her name is Melanie Martinez. It's a singer, a young girl that she went to see in concert, and this singer sells her clothes, sells clothes on this site, and she even upcycles and recycles or whatnot her clothes. Like she'll have a bag from an inexpensive bag from Forever 21, but she'll upcycle it and upgrade it by painting hand painted sceneries on there. It's just really, really cute stuff. So she found out about it that way. It actually looks something like an Instagram. It's very much of a magazine layout. See it? It's called Depop. The little icon will say hello, we're open. I hope you can see that. Say hello, we're open. It's a little red icon. Here's just one. People actually, what they do is they model the clothes. Here's another one. So as you can see that these are not professional models. These are just the people that want to sell their items. Give you tips on how to take your pictures. Here's some shoes. They really want the seller to model the item. Have photo tips. And this is really going to go against some people who don't like to take pictures, who don't like to model the items. When people ask you to model them, I've heard people say, oh, I don't want to do that. I'm afraid they just want to look at me. And no, that's not really the case. I'll read you what it says. Fancy being featured. Well, here are a few tips to help make sure you get the best pics possible to show off your items. One is, do try to get someone to take a picture of you wearing the item. Do photograph your items in natural daylight. Don't take photographs with a flash or in the evening. Do make sure that it is obvious what is being sold. So in other words, don't put your item in front of your laundry. Don't use blurry images. Of course, these are all pretty common sense, but some of them are really against what some people like to do, so that's why I'm reading them. Do try to arrange your items in an interesting setting. Detail photographs separately. So don't use collages. That's another thing it says there. I know these are pretty popular on Poshmark because they limit you to such few photographs. So it says don't make photo collages. Use the additional images to show off any details. Don't photograph your item with a lot of mess around. It just distracts from the item. Do have a clean and simple background so that it's easy to see your item against. Do pick a fun background that makes your item stand out. So this is a little sample here. It's got a shirt, and then the background, you can't see it there, but it's actually striped. It's actually a coordinating striped background there. Don't cut parts of the item off. Do make sure you can see the whole item in your picture. Don't just have a stark white background. It looks like your item is floating in nothing. Again, this is going against what so many people preach, especially on Amazon. I know Amazon likes the white background, but in this case, you're really trying to set a more aesthetically pleasing photograph. So think Instagram, think Pinterest, and not even Pinterest, but think Instagram. People go to Instagram to see pretty pictures of pretty clothes and animals and food and whatnot, and that's exactly what this app is advocating, that you use interesting pictures to capture the interest of the buyer. All right, and then the final one, don't use photographs off the internet unless you own them. So no stock photographs allowed. Prove brand authenticity and use the additional pictures to show receipts, certificates, original packaging, and labels. So in other words, no fakes. Now that's looking like an Instagram. This is not eBay. It's made for a device. This is one picture, and then, but of course, like if you come here to this picture, you can put your additional photos. So there's the back. You can also search for items through hashtags. So instead of keywords or tags as you do on Etsy, you're going to use your hashtags if you want to. And you can put your hashtags on your picture as you would on an Instagram as well. So it says explore. And I'm sorry about the choppiness of this video. My camera is acting really strange. It doesn't want to film. It's getting dark. I think it says that the memory is getting full or something. So I also wanted to show you the icon, but I don't want to show you my granddaughter's face because I don't have permission to do so. There it is right there, the little red one. It says, hello, we're open. Again, it just provides for a better aesthetic. It really wants to play like an Instagram, where, I mean, why do we go to Instagram? We go to Instagram to look at pretty pictures of clothes. Talking about before I got cut off with my camera is that the good thing about this, and I think the attraction for the younger set, is that they can bank their money into their PayPal. They do not have to connect their PayPal to a bank account, so that they always have their money there, so they can actually respend it on the site. And it even says, I think one of their mottos or one of their mantras is buy, sell. So that's really, really attractive, in that they don't have to worry about their bank account. They just can bank their money and then reuse it to buy more, which is convenient for the younger set. That's why they like that, because not all of them have checking accounts, and they don't want to have to necessarily draw out their money. But if and when they choose to do so, they can as well. They can have it transferred to a bank account. And if you want, you do get 4 pictures. These are just different things that are for sale. But let's say I liked this dress here, or skirt. Then it gives me 4 more pictures. But yeah, that's it. It's sort of an Instagram. Works with hashtags. All about the aesthetic, the interesting picture. There's that little red icon there, and it says, hello, we're open. Great place to sell and buy. And again, my daughter tried it the other day as soon as she got home, and she was so happy that she had already gotten 3 sales in one day. And quite a few likes. You can like things. You can put them on your favorites list and whatnot. So give it a try, guys. I hope y'all enjoy it. Thank you so much for coming in for this Q&A. Please post some more questions or comments here on this video. I really would appreciate it, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.